If you're struggling to climb the ranks in Fortnite, then this is the video for you. Today I'm going to be breaking down the strategies that I personally use to win and climb the ranks super fast. The gameplay in this video will be from Elite, Champion, and Unreal, but the strategies will work at every single rank. To start, we're going to be talking about one of the most important parts of the game, the off spawn. For your off spawn, you're going to want to choose somewhere near the edge of the map that has good loot and is preferably an unnamed POI. It is also important that there's metal near your POI so you're able to safely farm maximum metal, giving you the best chance to win in the end game. Let's see what I can learn from this game. So I noticed that I'm contested by one other player. I look at his glide and see that I have the better one, so I'll know I'm going to get the gun first. Here we don't talk about this, we kind of missed my shots, but there's a key important factor here. Instead of chasing him, I know that I have way more loot than he's going to get down there. There are only 2 chests down there where he's at. Up here, I have these minis and barrels to get to full shield, as well as other chests to possibly get a shotgun or another gun before I go key him. Now that I'm confident that I'll have more loot than him, I'm going to look to key him. So right here I see that he looted the 2 chests and I'm going to assume he went to the other loot nearby. I spot him healing in the open and am able to get a free beam on him, putting myself at the advantage immediately. And they end up picking up the easy kill. Now that you finished your off spawn, it's essential that you get the proper loadout to continue into the mid game. A proper loadout looks like 2 heals, mobility, and 2 weapons, preferably a shotgun and AR. For movement, I would suggest using the Oni mask if you can find one. For heals, I would say especially chugs, because chugs are essential in the end game, allowing you to play zone. Now in this game I didn't find an Oni mask off my off spawn, so I decided to look for a third party to possibly find one. So I headed up to Flooded Frogs. Now, since Flooded Frogs is on the edge of zone, it's unlikely that another third partier will come, so hopefully I'll be able to get some kills and get an Oni mask. I quickly realized that there are more than 4 players here at this fight, so I decided in my best interest to just run, get loot, and look for an Oni mask elsewhere. If I die here, I will probably lose points and not really get anything. I would also have wasted my time that I've spent playing this game so far. After that, I sort of just went from bush to bush, waiting for zone to be small. That means we are now in the end game. So here I get tagged, and it's very important to note that I do not want to take this fight. We're top 9, so I decide to expand boxes and wait for him to get third party. I see how small the circle is, and I know someone else is looking at this fight, and they're going to crack him. Maybe once they crack him, I can either advance on him or decide to rotate out. So this is a strategy I like to use in these smaller circles, is using third parties to your advantage. You don't even need to go for peeks on these people keying you, because there's someone else with an AR that's looking to spray them the second they're exposed. After that crack, you can advance on them and maybe kill them with a pump shot. So right here, someone else Oni masks on him. Now what I decided to do is get ahead because I noticed the zone just pulled and we're looking really far from the next circle. So I decided to rotate ahead instead of fighting back here in zone. I then start looting a nearby building to see if I could get a refresh on my heals. After that I go for a rotate into the circle, but unfortunately tank a tag from behind. I then get in and box up when this guy from height keeps spraying me. So I decided to go into my other full build box and stop building, so hopefully he would stop spraying and I could get some relief. This now brings us into the final endgame. So I decided I'm going to katana into this bush to see if I can get a beam on someone else rotating in. So unfortunately zone pulls as another max pull for me. So in this scenario I don't have a mask, so it's going to be really hard for me to rotate in. So I try to hug the mountain and go right to avoid getting beamed from height. So here I'm just using a cone peek to seeing what height's doing and what the other player is doing. I noticed the other player is getting sprayed by height, so I'm just going to let him die and then move forward. The second the other player drops, I know it's going to be a 1v1, so I instantly look to try to take height on this other player. So right here I determined that I'm not going to be able to take height on him due to my low max. So I decide to rotate front low and spray back at him on height since he will have to come to me. The chugs allow me to take a couple zone ticks and then get front low. I decided to push for height here as I seen that he was going to try to mask in front of me and thought I could possibly take height here because he threw his mask so deep into zone that he couldn't TP to it immediately, so I'll be able to get height on him and maybe get some shots off. Now right here I get kind of unlucky. I'm kind of like stuck on this weird terrain and I'm not able to mantle up. Zone's kind of catching up on me here after I took a bad peek on him, and unfortunately I do go down. Now, despite not winning that last game, I feel like there's a lot of things that can be learned from it. And stay tuned to the end of the video where I'm going to give you 5 actionable tips for your next ranked game. So right here I'm getting held in zone. I'm not fully in yet. This player just has to pull up on my wall despite us both not being in zone. I just decide that I'm going to again try to just rotate ahead and get into zone. I do end up having to spend a lot of materials here just trying to get in as I'm being held, but I decide, you know what, just mask in and box up. So as you can clearly see, this game wasn't going as expected. I now have no heals and no metal for this end game. I see this player and think maybe I can kill him really quickly, get the refresh I need to win the game, but unfortunately I can see he's like looking alive, so I decide not to take the fight. So right here about here is where I decided I don't have the HP or heals to look for fights right now. So again, I'm just going to prioritize my rotates, mask box until the very last few people. So I noticed I'm in the top 2 scenario, so I decided to try to get front low to try to spray him out because I know he has to come to me. So right here I take a pretty bad trade. I didn't have a good chance of chopping him, but I went for it. That was the wrong decision, but we'll see how I try to play it out. So as you can see, by prioritizing the rotate and getting ahead with the Oni mask, is you can still win even when you're not in the best state during the endgame. I think it's also important to note how I used my Oni mask to take height. The Oni mask is very strong, and especially in ranked, there are going to be a lot of opportunities where you can Oni mask on height and take it, especially if you are healthy materials. I think another problem that a lot of players struggle with is prioritizing the rotate and getting caught in a third-party fight. Generally, the longer you fight this season, the more likely a third party is to come, so it's recommended just to, if you can't end the fight quick, just rotate out. To finish up this video, I wanted to leave you with 5 actionable tips that you could use in your next ranked game. So I think the number 1 thing I would say is get max metal early and save it for the end game. Focus on prioritizing your rotates instead of lagging behind in zone. Stay on the edge of zone until at least 6th zone. Always rotate out of losing fights, and look to take the high ground in endgame. Once you've tried out these tips in your ranked game, I would like you to come back to the video and let me know how it went. If you liked the video, like it, and if you want to see more Fortnite content, please subscribe.